Get ready.
They say they need to ban the podcast equipment and take y'all mics away. And oftentimes when I listen, shit, I agree.
For real talk.
Hey, man, just because we know people don't mean that they know things. A lot of us was in the same classes with some of these folks. That don't mean they were passing these classes.
All the time.
It ain't the world leaving you behind, man. It's your line of thinking. You think the science stopped evolving because you stopped learning, and it don't work that way. I couldn't imagine voting for somebody who thinks identifying with me is identifying with a felon. That's crazy as hell. I'm Mr. Spann, and I'm approving these messages. This is the Mr. Spann Official Podcast. Let's go. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Spann Official Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 59 of the show. And, yo, man, this is the second time I talked to y'all this week. So, man, shout out to that. Shout out to motherfucking that. And I wish I had my air horns, but I ain't got no air horns and shit. So, no celebration there. Nah, man, but, yo, I had some things to say. I was like, look, I got to get this shit off my chest right now, man. And I'm really enjoying this little rhythm that I done gotten to where I can just kind of like, I see a couple things and boom, boom, boom. Like all these thoughts are coming like you know, I'm in my mode right now, it seems like, right? So it's feeling okay, but it's like I'm in my mode and it's a very fucking bullshit time, so to speak. So we got that going on. But of course, before we get into this show and get into everything we're going to talk about here tonight, I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and let your voice be heard, man. You can go ahead and hit up our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. There's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages, and of course, those voicemails will get read here or played here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on YouTube and or Facebook, you can chop it up with your man Spann live while we do the show, man. So hit up that hotline, area code 313-288-0485. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead and leave us those emails, and of course those emails will get read here and replied to here live as well. Follow me on Threads and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there throughout the week. Also, if you're on Blue Sky, because apparently Blue Sky is going through a bit of a resurgence because of some things going on with Twitter. I think Elon Musk did some shit with the block feature over there, and people are like, you know, scrambling away from there, and especially after the election. So if you're on Blue Sky, I am also on Blue Sky as Mr. Spann .bsky.social. I think that's how that shit goes over there. So I think that's the protocol on how they do shit on Blue Sky. But I'm also on Blue Sky as well. Also, man, on YouTube, shout out, you know, check out our YouTube channel. Some of you guys are watching this on YouTube right now, but for those of you who are listening to me via the podcast later on, you can watch this show live on YouTube, man. And it's our channel is the Spann Report on YouTube, man. You can go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. Be notified and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we put new episodes up, when new videos are going up, when new lives are happening. You can be a part of the conversation as we're doing the show, man. Real talk. And we really appreciate everybody who does that, man. And leave us those thumbs up, man. People we really do like the thumbs up. They help. They help tremendously, and it don't cost you nothing, right? But also another way to hit us up with some, you know, with ways to help that don't cost no money is to hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify, man. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who does that. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. And also, man, go to our store. Go to our TeePublic store, get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie, get yourself a coffee mug, get yourself a mouse pad, get yourself some stickers. We got a whole bunch of stuff in our store, man. And, you know, we got some fly stuff over there too, man, if I may say so myself. And that's one way to kind of put down monetarily for the show, but also you get some fly gear in exchange for that as well. So we really appreciate everybody who supports us in that way, man. Real talk. But, yo, man, like I said, it's been a few days since the last time I talked to y'all. I want to say what fucking day was that? Don't even matter. Don't even matter. Because I, for whatever reason, I'm drawing a blank and I don't remember what day that was the last time we did the show. I just know it was a few days ago, right? It wasn't that long ago. But, yeah, man. So, you know, of course, everyone's, you know, kind of reeling from the, you know, the whole election thing and whatnot, man. And, you know, I think reality is starting to set in for some folks, man. I mean, I've been seeing some people talking about, you know, votes being stolen and things like that. And, you know, I don't want to become them, you know, where, you know, we started being in denial about what happened. I mean, I got a fucking shirt that says, Trump lost and you're in a cult, right? And I don't want to be, I don't want to be the flip side to that and be like, yo, Kamala lost and you're in a cult, that sort of shit. I mean, I'm sure that none of us are going to be storming the Capitol or anything like that. But I do think that some of us are a little put off. Like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Some of us are a little put off by seeing Joe Biden being so warm and fuzzy with Donald Trump, especially considering how, what Donald Trump represents, and also how Donald Trump been talking greasy about him and everybody else associated with him.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
That's not an excellent idea for you to go out here and be skinning and grinning with this motherfucker who apparently hates your guts, right? He couldn't. So, like, it just looks weird, right? And the other part about that makes it look weird is that, there are a contingent of people who think that all of the politics, that all of this shit is just a game, right? And that, these politicians are, they're playing roles and everything else. It's two birds, it's two wings. They separate wings on the same bird, Spann. Separate wings on the same bird, man, but they all together. That sort of shit. You get that sort of talk and everything. And, like, truthfully speaking, when you start seeing pictures like this, that lends people to, like, that gives them a little bit more gumption, to kind of lean into that, right? Despite what the reality may be, usually when people say that sort of shit is like, you're opting out of the whole political thing, so you think you're saying something that makes you look smart, and you don't, right? To anybody paying attention, you don't, but you got that going on, man. But I don't have a whole lot of random thoughts to start off with, man, but I did see this particular story and I thought this was interesting. So we're going to lead off with this because this is actually going to be something that we talk. It's going to be a heavy theme on tonight's show tonight, right? So Denzel Washington is going to be in the new Gladiator movie. Gladiator 2 is coming out sometime within the next 2 months, right? And apparently there was a gay scene, or not even so much a gay scene, but apparently Denzel Washington kissed a man in this movie and they cut the kiss out of the damn movie altogether.
I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
Yeah, man. And Denzel Washington also said that he thinks that the producers were scary or chicken to put that shit out.
What in blue blazes is going on out here?
Did this nigga just say blue blazing?
Yeah, so we get this story here. This comes out of NBC News. It says that Gladiator 2 is set to release next week, bringing audience the glory and gore of the Roman Empire. Swords will be unsheathed and heroes will rise in this blockbuster sequel. Perhaps share a kiss? And in this blockbuster sequel, Perhaps Share a Kiss, actor Denzel Washington told Gaiety that he had a kiss in the movie, but it was ultimately cut from the final print. I actually kissed the man in the film, but they took it, they cut it. I think they got chicken. Washington, who plays a Roman businessman in the film, said in a video interview, I kissed a guy full on the lips, and I guess they weren't ready for that yet. I killed him about 5 minutes later, though. The Oscar winner added with a laugh, "It's Gladiator, it's the kiss of death." Now, one thing I will say about this, right, is that, like, as much as Denzel Washington is probably joking about, the producers of this being chicken and everything else, I am actually probably a little bit glad that they cut this out. And the only reason why I say that is because, man, could y'all imagine what the Twitter streets, what the Blue Sky streets, what the Facebook streets, what the Thread streets would be looking like if Denzel Washington, fucking pinnacle of black actors, Denzel Washington, was seen on screen kissing a man. All these hotels would have, oh my God, nigga, it'd have just been just the whole fucking time.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn!
What?
Fuck! Fuck!
Nigga, the hoteps would have been losing they fucking minds, bro. We'd have been inundated with shit about the gay agenda is out here. They done got the Denzel. Oh my God. Next thing you know, Denzel gonna be in a dress. They are emasculating the black man. The gay agenda done got him another one. They are taking down all our great black men. And it's just like, I am glad. I am so glad that we won't have to listen to that shit for the better part of the next 2 weeks, man. Real talk. So although I think Denzel Washington was ready, like, Denzel Washington is a fucking, fucking just great thespian, right? And, you know, Denzel has played like in Shakespearean plays and stuff like that. This is some of the shit that goes on, especially in that time period. That was very fucking commonplace, right? But the idea, like the whole thing of, you know, the agenda, the agenda. All these niggas will be all up in arms about the agenda if they just saw Denzel Washington kissing another man in a movie. And my man Peanut is in the chat room. He says, "Oh, they done got another black man with the." See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? They been hitting us up with the agenda, man. We got to hear about the agenda. Like, we don't need to be hearing about the agenda, man. It's always an agenda when you don't like some shit, bro. It ain't never just the agenda when it's on some positive shit that you really want to rock with and get down with. No, it's always an agenda when it's something you don't really like. They make it sound nefarious, you know what I mean? So we got that going on, man. But yeah, I am glad that they cut that from that movie, man. Now I'm glad of all of the Umar Johnson videos we will not be getting because Denzel Washington's scene kissing a man was cut out. Now here's the other part about that I think is interesting is that you know, he says it's the kiss of death. Right. So he kisses this man, but he kills him about 5 minutes later. And interestingly enough, like I can see some of these same Hotep niggas. Well, I mean, but he killed him though. So that make it all right. That make it all right. Like nigga, which one is it? You know, because that's the one thing about a lot of these arguments, man. They are not encumbered with the disability of having to make sense, if that makes sense. Right. So we got that going on, man. Real talk. Denzel Washington had a same-sex kiss cut from Gladiator 2. Well, he didn't, but the producers did, and, you know, that's in the news this week, right? Now, another thing that's in the news this week, of course, like I said, Donald Trump, you know, was fucking elected president again, and niggas are having a hard time dealing with it. I ain't gonna lie, niggas are having a hard time dealing with it. But what's even making it even harder is when you start seeing some of the names this nigga is floating for government, like cabinet level positions, right? So Trump is out here naming some of the people that he wants to be, you know, like a part of his cabinet, like his close homies, the people, the best of the best people that's supposed to be advising his ass, right? And he decided that he was going to name Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk to the Department of Governmental Efficiency. And to that I say,
oh man, hey.
Now for those of you who are paying attention, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, DOGE, as in Doge, as in fucking Dogecoin.
Makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell.
This nigga Trump is trolling the fuck out of the world, bro. Nothing serious about this whatsoever. Now, here's the part that I think is really interesting, is that people just don't, like, people don't know that you can't just, like, say, hey, I'm going to create a whole new department. Because a department, if you create a department of something, that's a cabinet level job. That also involves Congress. Congress isn't about to come up with a Department of Governmental Efficiency and have a fucking Dogecoin as its emblem. They're not going to do it. But apparently, this is something that he had to do. He had to do something for Elon Musk, right? Because Elon Musk, I think he spent $180 million of his own money to try to help get Donald Trump elected, right? But now here we're talking about the Department of Governmental Efficiency. How do you have two department heads in the Department of Governmental Efficiency? I will never know. It doesn't sound all that efficient to me. Doesn't sound that efficient, but we're going to read this story here. This comes out of CBS News. It says that Donald Trump is vowing to reduce wasteful federal spending by tapping two billionaires, Tesla CEO Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, to spearhead the initiative, which the president-elect is calling the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. The appointments announced by Trump on Tuesday raised a host of questions about the effort, including whether Musk and Ramaswamy will have the authority to make changes in federal outlays, given that Congress authorizes the nation's spending. Again, Congress, the power of the purse is sitting in the hands of Congress, not the president. Let's see. As well as, changes in the federal outlays given that Congress authorized the nation's spending, as well as where the businessmen might look to cut spending. Under the plan, Under the plan, meanwhile, DOGE is not an official government department, raising questions about its powers and how it would operate. The announcement comes a week after Trump won a second term as president, with voters expressing their dissatisfaction with the economy under the Biden administration. As part of his campaign vows, Trump promised to slash government spending. Musk's bio on X, the social media platform he bought in 2022, now reads, "The people voted for major government reform." That's not what... No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Frankly, it does not need to be done again. It does need to be done again. So every few decades, you really need to look at everything. Elaine Carmack, a senior fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution, who managed the Clinton administration's National Performance Review, an effort to cut government spending in the 1990s, told CBS Money Watch. But Carmack harbors reservations about Musk and Ramaswamy's mandate, especially after the former recently suggested he could find more than $2 trillion in savings. Where the fuck is he going to find that at? I know where he could find it. I do know where he could find it. But are they going to do that? One place that they could find $2 trillion, because, we spend a lot of money on this, is defense, man. We spend a lot of money on defense. As a matter of fact, the United States spends more money on defense than I think the next six, governments combined, the next six richest governments combined. We spend more money than all of the motherfuckers just on defense. Yeah, they could probably cut the defense budget a little bit, but will they do that, though? Probably not. Probably not. This is the first warning sign that this is going to be a failed operation. Carmack said, "That's insane." Speaking on transformational change within government and organizations, Michael Morris, a professor at Columbia University's Columbia Business School, noted there are two models: a bottom-up grassroots effort and a top-down strategy, sometimes called a shock change approach. DOGE likely belongs in the latter, according to Morris, who is also author of the nonfiction book Tribal, about how people form and relate to each other through group dynamics. So, Donald Trump announced that these dudes are going to be a part of the Department of Governmental Efficiency. So that's troll number one. Now, troll number two has to do with the fact that he just announced that he is nominating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the Secretary of Health and Human fucking Services. And to that, just not never. Nobody never thought that a vaccine denier would ever be in this position, but yet here we are. So we get this story here. This comes out of NBC News. It says that President-elect Donald Trump on wait, hold on a second. Is there a video to this? There is video to this. Hold on a second while I don't want to fucking play your ads, man. No. Let's do no. Okay, here we go. Continue without supporting this time. There we go. All right, so check this out. I'm gonna pull this up while you guys, so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second while I do this here. Boom. Let's see what they're talking about here on NBC News. Rewind that here and turn it up.
Tonight, after teasing a potential administration role for weeks,
RFK Jr., he's going to help us on health and the health of women, and men, and children, and he is so good.
President-elect Trump selecting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be his next Secretary of Health and Human Services.
This is a guy who said he had brain worms. This is a guy who said he killed a bear and ate the bear. This is a guy who is anti-vaccine. This is a guy who's talking about releasing taking fluoride out of the water supply. This is a guy who, essentially appointing him to be Secretary of Health and Human Services is like basically putting a wolf in front of a fucking chicken coop and expecting him to just guard the chicken coop against anybody else instead of just eating the goddamn chickens. This is essentially what he's doing. This is the strategy that Donald Trump is employing when it comes to his governmental appointees. A lot of these people, especially in Republican circles, man, let's just keep it a buck. In Republican circles, what they do is they run on the idea that government doesn't work, right? So then they get into government and then they try to prove that government doesn't work by trying to break the fucking government. This is their entire fucking MO. Government doesn't work. Let us get in here and fix it. We're going to break it some more and then prove it doesn't work. And then they rinse, wash, and repeat. So Yeah, like this is what's happening right now in our very fucking faces.
Writing, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. Kennedy is a former Democratic and independent presidential candidate who dropped out and endorsed Trump.
You want an America president who's going to make our country healthy again.
Now, the other question that I would have is this, is, you're talking about making America healthy again, as if we didn't have this dude as president of the whole fucking United States when the COVID pandemic fucking happened. Like, this is what happens when you memory hole shit. When you memory hole shit, you act like, oh, that shit didn't happen. No, I remember he was president then when the worst fucking health disaster in this nation's history happened. He was the guy in charge. And now you're saying we're going back to this dude to make shit right? Fuck out of here, man. To anybody who's paying attention and like knows that shit doesn't make sense, it's like, come on, man, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of my face with that shit.
But he's faced criticism because of his history of vaccine skepticism, publicly espousing discredited assertions that vaccines cause autism. Vice President Harris slammed Trump for praising him.
He has indicated that the person who would be in charge of health care for the American people is someone who has routinely promoted junk science and crazy conspiracy theories.
Kennedy telling us last week that he would not block any vaccines.
I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccines. I've never been anti-vaccine.
You will not take any vaccine that is currently on the market.
I'm not. If vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away.
During the campaign, Kennedy also made headlines when he said that 15 years ago, doctors told him he had a parasitic worm in his brain that died. Kennedy is a critic of U.S. healthcare policy who's advocated for big changes to food and drug regulation, writing last month, the FDA's war on public health is about to end, telling us he would eliminate parts of the FDA.
The nutrition departments at FDA.
So, again, like when we start thinking about things like this, right? Like the types of foods that we're able to consume, the types of drugs that we're able to take, or the testing of those drugs and the testing of the foods and everything else. When you start tampering with that, one has to wonder about those who are, where their immune systems are compromised, whether or not there are certain drugs that will get through because the FDA isn't being as or more stringent than they are right now, or they're being less stringent than they are right now. Like you got to wonder about the efficacy of the drugs and the food that we eat, and whether or not it's going to be healthy for us to consume this shit going forward, right? Especially when you have the fox guarding the hen house as if the fox isn't going to eat up all the hens, man. So like appointing someone like this, come on, bro. Like, be for real. Be for real. And this is another instance of him trolling. Peanuts in the chat room. He says chocolate chip cookies about to taste like ass. Hey, man. Hey, like, think about that for a second. That if chocolate chip cookies start tasting like ass, if that's what starts the revolution, nigga. Like, hey, nigga, bring back good chocolate chip cookies, nigga. We out here, nigga. We riding on chocolate chip cookies, nigga. That'll be crazy. That'll be crazy. But yo, man, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's going to be, well, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know how this is going to work, right? Because although Trump doesn't have a sycophantic following within the Republican Party, there is still a significant number of Democrats who are going to be a part of the Senate. I wonder if it's going to be just a straight up majority vote that gets some of these people confirmed in their positions as secretaries of whatever department they're supposed to be secretaries of. But it's going to be interesting to see whether or not these people are even confirmed by the Senate, right? Because this is what they're supposed to do. Now, I know that Donald Trump is out here trying to figure out a way to get around senatorial confirmation for these cabinet level positions, but we're going to see how that shit plays out going forward, right? But this isn't the only shit show for the sort of nomination that Donald Trump has put forth. The next one that he put forth is actually almost even more stunning. So, could you imagine someone who is right now currently under investigation from the very governmental body that they were working for, for sex with an underage child being named the top cop in the entire United States, don't worry, man. I'll wait. I mean, because that's what we got. That's what we got. Donald Trump nominated Matt Gaetz, who was he's already under investigation. He was under investigation from the House of Representatives, House Ethics Committee, for allegedly having sex with a young lady when she was 17 years old. So we get the story here. This comes out of go.com. Let's see. Does Go have a video? They do have a video. This shit's 11 minutes long. So I'm not going to play this entire 11 minutes, but we're going to see what the hell they talking about. Let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second here while I do this. Boom, boom, boom. All right. What are they talking about here at Go?
President-elect Donald Trump's nomination of Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. ABC News is now learning exclusively that the woman who accused Gaetz of having sex with her when she was just 17 years old shared her claims in closed-door testimony before the House Ethics Committee. That is according to sources that are familiar with this investigation. Now, Gaetz has long denied these accusations. Yesterday, he stepped down from Congress following his nomination for Attorney General. Let's get now to ABC News' Jay O'Brien, who's live for us on Capitol Hill. So
the question that I would have, because they just said that he resigned his position in Congress. So the question that I would have is, did he know that he was going to be nominated for Attorney General? Did President-elect Trump let him know that, like, all right, I'm going to throw you this bone, you know what I'm saying, like, to kind of get you out of this, right? And also because there was this report that was about to come out from the Ethics Committee at the House of Representatives. They allegedly was a scathing report. Whether or not this was just an attempt to try to get in front of it, but like, this is a hell of a motherfucking way to get out in front of some shit when you got the dude who's supposed to be the top cop in the United States of America's justice system being credibly accused of sexual or improper sexual contact with a minor, right? Now, could you imagine? Like, think about this for a second, man. We're about to have a felon president and a child molester attorney general, possibly, right? I don't know if he's going to get confirmed by the Senate or not, but this is what has become. This is what has become of this nation after they elected this son of a bitch. Like, this is what is happening. So, like, this is crazy. This is absolute idiocracy. Is like it is a charitable term, considering what the fuck we're witnessing right now.
Jay, this is quite stunning news here. What more are we learning here about what she potentially said in front of the House Ethics Committee?
Yeah, Kana, ABC News has learned, according to multiple sources, that the woman at the center of this investigation into Matt Gaetz for allegations of sex trafficking told the House Ethics Committee when she was interviewed by that committee that she had sex with Matt Gaetz when she was 17 years old and in high school, and Matt Gaetz was a member of the United States Congress. That, again, according to multiple sources who spoke with our Will Staken and our investigative team here at ABC News. Previously, the Department of Justice investigated these allegations of sex trafficking into Matt Gaetz. They did not bring criminal charges. Matt Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. And then there became this House Ethics Committee investigation into Gaetz, which looked into similar allegations. And it's over the course of that investigation that ABC News has now learned that this woman in question said that Matt Gaetz had sex with her when she was 17 years old, and he was a member of Congress, and she was, of course, a minor. Matt Gaetz has said on Twitter and in other posts that he never had sex with anyone under the age of 18, and again, he has denied any wrongdoing. That ongoing House Ethics Committee investigation into him ended when he resigned from Congress because he was nominated, as you said, by Donald Trump to be his nominee for Attorney General. Because when you are no longer a member of Congress, ethics investigations conducted within the Congress into you end. We now know the committee, according to sources, was wrapping up its investigation as Gaetz resigned, and they were preparing to potentially release a final report with their findings, which presumably would have included this key detail, which again is that the 17-year-old at the center of this investigation says that when she was 17, she and Matt Gaetz, as a member of Congress, had sex with her when she was in high school.
Now, keep this in mind, right? We're talking about a party who says they are all about protecting the children. They're about protecting the kids. Some of them out here trying to fuck the kids. As a matter of fact, they want to put one of them who was out here allegedly, you gotta say that, allegedly, one of them who were out here allegedly fucking the kids, they want to make this motherfucker the top cop, bro. Right? They want to make this dude the top cop. So we got an adjudicated rapist, a civilly liable adjudicated rapist as president of the United States, and as an attorney general, he's appointing an alleged child molester. You can't make this shit up. Oh man. Hey. You just fucking hate it, man. You just fucking hate it. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. As my man Reggie's in the chat, he says, he did that shit. Guilty as fuck. Hey, man, if we gon' nigga, Diddy is in jail. R. Kelly is in jail. Weinstein was in jail and they locked his ass up. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, baby. We know crooks when we see crooks, man. America knows crooks when they see crooks. I just did not know that it took for a black woman to run for president of the United States for them to decide, hey, we prefer the crook. Right? So you got that going on. But, here's the thing, though. As we talk about this sort of stuff, right? Let me escape from that. As we talk about this sort of stuff, one has to wonder, how do we get to a point in America where this sort of thing is acceptable? How do we get to a point as a populace where these sorts of things, these sorts of people being elected into positions of power, how that happens? Now, a lot has been made about, especially on the left, man, people are making all sorts of excuses or pointing fingers as to why Kamala Harris isn't or did not win the presidency. Some of them talk about some of the venues that she decided to go on. The mainstream media is dead. People are into their phones. They're listening to podcasts. They're watching YouTube. They're getting their news from alternative sources like social media. They're not turning it into mainstream media anymore. So the 60 Minutes interview doesn't mean anything anymore. Mainstream media is dead. These are the things that folks are saying, right? And so, to be frank, though, I think there's some credence to that. I do. I've listened. I've watched. Because I've been in this space, this independent content creator space for a long time. I'm a decade into this shit almost. Well, what I mean, almost over a decade into this shit right now, and I've watched the medium grow. When I started this podcast, bro, I had a laptop computer and a call center headset and a fucking recording software and a teleprompter fucking app running and shit. And I was sitting in my apartment living room, and it took me it would take me 12 hours to give you niggas a 1 hour show, right? It was crazy back then. There was no how to do it or anything. Now they got podcast starter kits and shit at Best Buy, man. You could go buy a mixer and a mic and everything else, $500 and you good, man. Go to Spotify for podcasters and set yourself up and boom, you out here broadcasting to the world, right? You go live on YouTube, you go live on Instagram, you go live any motherfucking where now, right? So it's very easy for folks to kind of get into the game. The barrier for entry is very low. And so with the barrier for entry being so low, oftentimes the quality kind of goes down because people aren't as scrupulous about what they're saying because they just want to be seen. And oftentimes when you just want to be seen, sometimes you say some of the more outrageous things to be noticed amongst all the others, right? There are millions of people trying to be noticed and they're trying to get their, some people are monetized and they want to be monetized. So you got that whole thing going on. And so oftentimes when you got people who are unscrupulous, when you have people who are just trying to get the bag, and when you have people who just want to be popular, oftentimes the quality of the information isn't as good as it needs to fucking be. And with that, I'm going to get into my expert opinion, right? Now, I want to make this clear. This isn't going to be a regular thing that happens on this show, right? The reason why I thought it was important to highlight what I saw today on my expert opinion is because it kind of leans into some of the misinformation and disinformation that I hear, like a lot of people kind of leaning into. And oftentimes these messages get amplified by these sorts of channels and these sorts of programs, and is legitimized by these programs and stuff, right? It's almost like when you used to watch television back in the day, man. If you saw the shit on TV, you're like, man, it had to be true, right? I saw it on the internet. I heard something say this. And a lot of folks don't do a lot of follow up, right? But I saw this earlier today, and this is when I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna hit the mic tonight. So, yeah, this was a clip. I'm sure the entire video or the entire episode hasn't been published yet. But I'm going to pull this up so you guys can watch right along with me. Hold on. Let me see something here. Also, I want to make this also clear too. This podcast or this YouTube channel now has over 1 million subscribers. So I want to make that shit clear too. 1 million subscribers. So this message goes out to at least 1 million people every time they release a video. Right? It's available to everybody, but at least 1 million people are subscribed to this channel, and they watch this channel, and they want to see what they're talking about on this channel, right? So that's why, I think it's important for us to talk about the messaging that people are getting from a show like this. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can watch right along, because we're gonna critique this. This is a 26-minute video. But we gonna critique this shit, and this is why I think so much of the misinformation and disinformation that goes out kind of results in how we get the government that we get, because they're like people are passively taking in these sorts of messages. So I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second here while I do this here. All right. Okay, let me go ahead and maximize this. Here we go. Let's see what they're talking about here on my expert opinion. Okay.
That's exactly now is how I grew up to where the way the Democrats is acting now is how the Republicans is acting. And the Republicans is acting like how the Democrats, how we was taught to like the Democrat. It's very weird, and I just can't get with none of this Democratic stuff. They ignored their constituents for years. They think they know better than us. They think we work for them. All politicians work for us, and we got to get back to that. And it seems like that's what the Republicans is doing, or the conservatives. And I'm not a full Donald Trump supporter. I agree with both sides on certain things, but when you start getting into letting kids make choices, gender like that.
Was that real though?
Absolutely.
Wait.
Okay, off top, bullshit right off top from the beginning of this video. Bullshit right off the top. When he starts talking about the government works for you and the government not the other way around. Yeah, that's right. But when he thinks that the Republicans are the ones doing that, that's the cap. That's the bullshit. Right. That's the bullshit. And then here's like Kim Asario is in this podcast, right? The very first question she said, when this nigga comes out of his mouth and says kids are making decisions about how they want to be with their sexual orientation and gender, first thing she says is that real? Now y'all know, if y'all been listening to me for any length of time, we've talked about this here on this show. It's not. But this nigga believes in it. He believes in it heavy. So watch it. Like it's crazy. Watch this shit, man.
Letting kids make choices gender like that.
Was that real though?
Absolutely.
Wait.
Hold on, we got a comment here in the chat on them. Let's really highlight my man. Reggie says that was not real. It's not real. It's not fucking real.
Whoa. Kids making choices
without the parents.
Under 18?
Yes.
In every state?
Listen. I went to Albany and I fought back against the bill. The guy of the health department, his last name is Guerrero. I said, if your child, it was his second in command that I had to meet with. I said, if your child come into the house with a tattoo, how would you feel? He didn't give me no answer. He said, I don't have no kids. The people who's making these decisions about...
He didn't give me an answer, but the answer was, I don't have any kids. He gave you an answer, B. He gave you an answer. The answer was, I don't have any kids. But also, I'm getting ahead of myself. But I'm going to let this play some out.
Kids don't have children, or they have children who's grown already. They not even going to be affected.
Wait, I need clarity on this.
Right.
You're telling me that there were examples of kids under 18 that were actually getting this gender...
The laws on the books. The laws on the books.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. My man's in the back here. The dude in the green jumpsuit talking about Dwayne Wade. Now, Dwayne Wade's child, Zaya, hasn't had any surgeries as far as I know. Also, it's none of my fucking business whether or not Zaya Wade has had any surgeries at all. The only thing that I know is that Zaya Wade identifies as trans and Dwayne Wade supports his child, and Dwayne Wade gets flack from niggas for supporting his kid. Right? All of these niggas will be mad at Dwayne Wade for actually affirming and loving on his child. Right? So this isn't even so much about, they're talking about without parental consent. Dwayne Wade is on board and affirming and supporting his child through their transition. And that's a problem for you niggas too. Right? So don't make it about whether or not the parents have a choice in the matter or not, because even in places where the parents are on board with it, you niggas still have an issue. To even bring Zaya Wade up in this particular instance is crazy, because the topic of discussion is whether or not this is happening without the parents' consent. Dwayne Wade is fully aware of what's going on with Zaya Wade. Fully aware of it.
The reassignment
the laws on the books.
Or just simply...
under 18, without their parental consent.
Or just when you were saying identify as they, him, them, whatever.
Right.
Without anything.
And so she's asking them a very specific question, and they're just saying yes, yes, yes. She's asking them a question about whether or not it is legal for a child to get gender affirming care without the consent or the knowledge of the parent. And they're just saying yes, that is the law. And to that, I will say that's
the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. No wonder you get D's and everything.
Nigga, your kid can't go to a teacher and get a Tylenol for a headache without like getting somebody's approval or permission. You think they about to go to a hospital and get some gender affirming care from a hospital, some surgery for gender affirming care without the knowledge of a parent at some point? Be fucking for real, bro. Be fucking for real. Like, this is the level of misinformation and disinformation that gets sent out to the community about a group of folk who most people within the community have very little interaction with at all. So it's very easy for you to get these fucking takes off because there's no one there in the room, or there's no one who's dealing with that particular issue to challenge you on the shit that you're saying. Right? And so it just like the snowball just builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And you got these ignorant niggas in this barbershop with a audience of at least 1 million saying that it is a law that a child can go into a hospital or they can get gender affirming care and the parent don't even get to know about it. That is absolute, complete and utter bullshit. It's crazy how much bullshit that is. We got another comment here from Reggie. My man Reggie says, D-Wade gonna have to go Will Smith on these people talking about. Man, listen, all of these niggas, man, like they feel very comfortable talking about, like, this is why I like, yo, D-Wade is like, as much as I hate that he didn't come to the Bulls when he should have came to the goddamn Bulls, right? But he's a real one about his kids, man. He's a real one about it. And like, as much as, like, again, these dudes are talking about whether or not somebody being like a parent being aware of the situation or not. When you have someone like a D-Wade who is not only aware but being public about his awareness, now y'all saying something's wrong with him too. So it's not about the parental awareness. Y'all just simply have an issue with somebody being different, and you don't understand them being different. And rather than just try to learn about what the differences are and try to understand it, something is wrong with them. People hate what they don't understand, man. And if you actually try to learn about some shit, maybe you won't hate that thing because you understand that thing. Right? That's the wild shit. This is the wildest shit that's going on right now, man. Real talk.
That doesn't mean they were having gender reassignment surgery.
No, but they was able to get a medical procedure without the parents' consent. That's what.
Nigga, nobody's getting a fucking medical procedure without the parents' consent, especially gender affirming surgery without parental consent. If you believe that, nigga, I will sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, and I don't live in New York, nor do I own that bitch. Right? But this nigga told I went all the way to Albany. This nigga went to a state capitol with bogus information, talking about I talked to the second in command, he didn't give me no answer, but his answer was he ain't had no kids. Right? This is the level of bullshit we dealing with. And this goes out to at least 1 million people.
So all of this
to be acknowledged as such.
And that's the law. That's what y'all said. That's the law.
That's what Trump said. I'm stopping it from day one.
I can't believe
that's not the question.
I don't believe what Trump says. Is that the law?
Yes, and it just passed Prop 1 in New York during this whole thing. That's what Prop 1 was about. People.
Okay, so after I was listening to this earlier today, I looked up Prop 1. I'm going to read a little bit about Prop 1 here on the show tonight. But I'm going to let them talk a little bit more about Prop 1. Because, again, when we're talking about niggas not knowing shit, Buddy said he went all the way to Albany to advocate against this proposition that was on the ballot for New York voters. And when she pulls up on the show, they're going to, like, let me shut the fuck up. I'm going to let this play. I'm going to let this play. But listen.
I mean, a lot of people don't know what they voting for. Give me your phone right there, man. I mean.
He said, a lot of people don't know what they voting for. That is the only truism that's coming out of this nigga's mouth right now. The only one that a lot of people do not know what they are voting for. There's a whole lot of people voting for Donald Trump right now, don't necessarily know what they was getting. And they think that he wasn't about what he said he was about. They don't think he going as far as he said he wanted to go. But oh, don't you worry. They gonna fucking show you. Right? This shit. My man Peanut is in the chat room. He says, sell that bridge to my cousin and let me get a cut. I had this argument with him and gave up. No hospital is doing this with no parent. None. Ain't no kids walking in no hospitals getting surgeries, bro. Come on, man. I need niggas to think. Nobody, no child under 18 is walking into a hospital and getting a surgery performed without a parent or guardian knowing about it. It's not fucking happening. It's just not happening. Like, and the fact that there's so many people, again, when you know, there's so many of these folks don't have any experiences with any of the people that they're talking about. This is the level of shit that like this is the level of ignorance that you're going to be dealing with. Right? Because they're not curious to figure it out on their own, or to be like, hey man, what is this about this that I don't understand? Let me figure this out so I don't be out here saying some dumb shit in front of 1 million people. They're confident in their ignorance, man. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's insane. And the fact that he's like, people don't know what they voting for. Yeah, nigga. You don't either. You don't either.
You could just Google it. I just did a big protest in Times Square about 3 weeks ago regarding the same stuff. And people voted it in.
One.
So she's looking it up right now.
We got Jeopardy theme music.
No.
In the meantime,
Prop 1 is about abortion rights.
No, it's not. Not only.
In New York, it is.
You got to read the whole thing. She went the first line.
First line said, wait a minute.
I got him. It's so broad. Got him. The problem with Prop 1.
I got to test y'all. Sometimes y'all.
No, the problem with Prop 1 is that the rights is already instilled in the Bill of Rights in New York. They want to make it more broad because they trying to be slick on the interpretation of it. Why you go create a new law when we already got those protections? It makes absolutely no sense.
Well,
so hold on a second.
I do think that
let me pause this for a second.
As a parent,
let me pause this for a second because he talked about this being about abortion rights, right? So when they were talking about this, I looked this up, and I got this from, where did we get this from? The New York City Bar Association, right? Prop 1 will be listed on the back of the ballot, so voters will need to flip over the ballots to vote on Prop 1. What Prop 1 will do is establish constitutional protections against discrimination based on ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, and sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy and pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy. These protections will be in addition to the current explicit protections against racial and religious discrimination under the state constitution. When a right is established in the Constitution, it is protected from future legislation that might put it at risk. Okay? So what they were trying to do with this was they were trying to head off any fucking legislation that maybe the legislature would try to pull ahead or try to undercut any of these rights that have been given to these marginalized groups. Okay, it says Prop 1 will protect abortion rights and access to reproductive health care, including birth control and IVF. Prop 1 will protect LGBTQ plus New Yorkers by preventing future state laws from rolling back current LGBTQ plus rights to equal treatment. Prop 1 will protect older, disabled, pregnant, and LGBTQ plus New Yorkers from government discrimination in hiring, pay, and promotions. Okay, it will ensure that older and disabled New Yorkers will have access that they need to vote and use public spaces and facilities. It will prevent discrimination against all individuals and clarify that the amendment cannot be used as a basis for attacking programs that are battling discrimination. Now imagine sitting on a podcast or a YouTube channel with 1 million fucking people at least listening to you, and you as a black man are advocating for or advocating against a program that seeks to stop discrimination against marginalized groups. And to that, just
shut up. Shut the fuck up. Damn. Enough. Boy, I've been sick to my fucking stomach watching you imbeciles type things. Yeah. Stop typing. You niggas are stupid.
Fucking stupid. I couldn't imagine being a black man in America sitting in front of 1 million motherfucking people saying, yeah, I want discrimination for some of these other people, just not me. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And the act as though she doesn't, of course, like, the woman on the show, sorry, I'm forgetting her fucking first name. But she's trying to look this stuff up because, again, she's like, yo, is that fucking real what you're talking about? And that's another thing. When you're talking to people who aren't necessarily aware of what's happening, you can get away with saying all kinds of shit, right? Because they telling her it's the law that the kids can go and get a surgery they can't fucking get. Nobody just walking into a goddamn hospital and just getting surgery, bruh. You can't go to a school and if you're a student in the school and you got a headache, I swear to God, man, they sending your ass to the nurse if your school has a nurse. But the teacher ain't handing you no pills. I got a headache, teach. Can you got like a Tylenol or Advil or something? I really can't concentrate in class. No, you got to go see the doctor or something like that. I can't give you that because now the teacher is liable for some shit. And teachers ain't getting paid nowhere near as much as they should. They don't want that fucking problem. So they send your kids someplace else and let somebody else deal with the shit. So the idea that these kids are being just, hey man, these kids are just out here choosing to be girls and boys, they choosing it on their own, all willy-nilly, is utter bullshit. It's bullshit. But these niggas have a platform of over 1 million. And this is the shit that's going out. Now, here's some of the things that they said on by the New York City bar. Okay, New York City bar said this is what Prop 1 will not do. It says Prop 1 will not impact parental rights. Prop 1 does not address parental rights, which are governed by other developed areas of state and federal law. Prop 1 does not change existing law with respect to parental consent or parents' ability to be involved in decision-making about health care or medical procedures for their minor children, including gender-affirming care. Prop 1 will not change current law with respect to participation on sports teams. Prop 1 prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity and gender expression. Prop 1 does not change existing law and has no explicit provision relating to participation on team sports. Prop 1 is consistent with Title IX, the controlling federal law that has already been interpreted by federal courts to require young people to play on sports teams that match their gender identity and expression. Now, here's the other thing that I think is very interesting about this. When a young lady in high school decides that, like, yo, man, I want to play on the football team, what is she to do? What is she to do? If she decides that she wants to play on the football team, there aren't any girls' football teams. There's usually just the boys' football team. So what does she do? She ends up playing on the boys' team. Now, chances are, like, oftentimes, like, we see the girls who typically end up playing on the boys' football team, they end up playing something like a punter or a kicker or a placeholder, or, you know, like placeholder or something like that. But very seldom do we see the outcry about young ladies playing on boys' teams, right? The outcry typically comes from when you see a young lady or a trans child or trans girl playing on teams with girls. And the automatic assumption is that, hey, that trans girl is now in the locker room with our daughters. And that trans girl may see our young daughters naked. And that trans girl is really just a boy who wants to be around naked young girls, right? And we got to protect our young girls from this trans kid, this little pervert who really is just trying to be around our naked daughters and shit. And it's like, yo, you're really imposing your little perverted fucking views about what these children are and how they express themselves. You're projecting your thoughts onto them. They're not thinking about that shit whatsoever. Oftentimes, these kids just want to be a part of something, and they want to be a part of something, and they want their identity to be recognized, right? And so, I always think it's interesting how we talk about these things, because it's always cloaked in this bullshit idea that we got to protect these children. We got to protect the kids and we got to protect our girls. And oftentimes, like, our girls aren't in danger whatsoever. And when we start talking about girls' sports, right, I always ask people, and I will challenge anybody. I would ask this dude here on this show to name any. Matter of fact, take this with you. Anytime you find yourself, if you find yourself in a discussion about this, ask the people that you're talking to. Ask them, how many instances, or how many? Here we go. How many trans athletes are participating in high school sports in your state? Without Googling, ask them. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get this. Because they don't know. They don't know. Ask them if they know anyone personally who has been affected by a trans athlete taking away an opportunity from their daughter in the sports. And you're going to get this. Because they don't know. And the reason why they wouldn't know is because the trans community is already a small community to begin with. I mean, the LGBTQ community in its entirety isn't necessarily a large group of folk. They're already a minority group. But then, like, they're a minority, and then there are minorities within that minority. And then you got the L, which is a minority in that minority, the G, and that's like the whole thing. They're all minorities within that minority group that we've lumped together. I asked Google earlier today, how many people within the United States identified as trans per the census, and I got the grand total of 1.7%. 1.7% of U.S. citizens identify as trans per the United States Census. Now, if the United States has over 330 million people who are citizens of the United, these are the folks that we've counted, 330 million people in the United States of America, and we've got 1% of the population identifying as trans. That means we got a trans community of a little bit over 1 million people. Now, of that 1 million people, how many of those are high school aged kids? Right? How many of those are high school age kids? Probably, let's say 500,000. So we got 500,000. Let's just give it that 500,000 high school age kids are transgender. Okay, how many of these transgender kids how many of those 500,000 transgender kids are participating in high school sports? Not a lot. I think the last time we talked about this here on the show, it was, I think it was 2. I think the grand total was 2 high school kids participating in sports that identified as trans students. 2. Hey, Google, how many high school kids identify as trans are participating in team sports in New York?
I don't know, but I found these results on search.
Google was like, nigga, I don't know. Okay, so it says about 3% of high school students identify as transgender, with another 2% questioning their gender identity. Okay, that's just in New York, 3%. Okay, not a lot of kids. So people act as though this has been a thing that where the trans kids are just taking over, where little boys are just like, hey man, I suck at this sport, I'm gonna just go ahead and join the girls and shit and say I'm a girl too, and then I could dominate over there. That's not what's happening, man. It's not what's happening. But Republicans really leaned into the idea of villainizing a very small group of folk to a group of people who have very little curiosity, very little interaction with a trans person. Y'all remember years ago, they activated their fear marketing about trans people using the bathrooms in which they identify. Y'all ain't heard about the bathrooms no more. They moved on from bathrooms to, hey, we gotta protect y'all babies from them participating in the sports. They ain't even talking about the bathrooms no more. Right? Think about this for a second. They're not even doing that no more. They moved on from that and they just moved this to something else. Meanwhile, the actual group, 1% of the entire population of the United States. Come on, man. We're gonna let this play some more. And this tripped out part is we only 4 minutes into this fucking video with them.
That's a tough pill to swallow, and you should respect the wishes. Come on.
Okay, and then you got a nigga who's talking about pause after everything. Again, if you got to say pause when you're having a conversation about something as serious as this, man. Like, think about the level of maturity that you got when like the niggas that you're talking with right now. When you got to say pause after saying something. Like, we grown men up in here, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's a pill. You can't swallow no pill. Pill.
No, I accidentally stepped on it.
with the reaching, bro.
I accidentally stepped on it. My bad, bro.
We gotta create a penalty now. If somebody got
it was under my shoe, bro. That was an accident, bro. My bad, bro.
You're doing too much. All right. As a parent, that's a tough pill to swallow. As far as like, having a child at an age where they're not even mature enough to understand most things about life to make a decision, a long-lasting decision like that. That's insane. Facts.
You know what I mean?
And I'm all for keeping the government out of your parenting.
Facts.
So, think about how many women go get surgeries and then 10 years later they trying to get it reversed. What if a kid go get something reaffirmed, they take it off you?
Because something's a trend.
Like they want kids.
Facts. They thinking being trans is trendy, bro. They thinking kids are really going into hospitals getting surgery, and they think it's trendy. This is the level of like idiocracy that we dealing with right now, bro. It's crazy.
It's a lot of that.
That's what it is.
You know how many dykes be hollering at me? Yo, bro, they had they had what they call that drag queen reading hour in our public schools, bro.
What?
Don't tell me I ain't know about that.
I saw that. I did see that.
Don't tell me I ain't know about that.
I did see that. Not in my kids' school.
Drag queen reading hour in New York schools.
I did see that. And
somebody was reading to your school. Somebody at the school. Somebody was reading books to your child. Right? They got drag queens reading books to the kids. Can you believe that? At the library, they reading books. And the dude is in the dress reading a book to my kid. What the fuck, man? Bro, when you in a barbershop talking about pause, and anytime somebody says anything about swallowing anything or eating a certain type of object or something like that, like clearly you aren't on a level mentally and intellectually where like you could even have a decent conversation without that stupid shit. I'm not surprised that you would be like, yo, man, they reading books to the kids at the library, man, and my man's had a dress on. I'm not surprised that this is like, you think that you're saying something like, yo, that's crazy. Like, no, man. Like, they're reading books to children. Kids don't have the same hangups that we do. We are taught these hangups as we grow up. You're mad that the children don't have the same hangups that you do. We teach our children to hate. Racism isn't innate. That shit is taught. Sexism isn't innate. That shit is taught. Religious intolerance isn't innate. That shit is taught. The children are pure, bro. We imbue all of our insecurities, all of our fucking faults. We imbue them with that shit as they grow older. And then they become the fuck niggas and the fuck. They become this. They become this.
And the clip that I saw, the person that was doing the reading was like, how many of y'all want to be a drag queen? And for a parent, that if that's not, right. I want grandkids. I mean, no offense to anybody, but I want grandkids. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Kid wouldn't be going to that school.
Respectfully. Take your kid out to class.
Buddy thinks that his kid being in a drag, like having a drag queen read books to his kid is going to stop him from being a grandfather. Buddy is at least 40. I think he said established. We about the same age. This nigga is too old to think, hey, my kid being read a book by a trans, or not even so much trans, by a drag queen could possibly stop me from being a grandfather. Here's something that I don't think he ever even thought about. Straight people, oftentimes, there's a lot of straight couples who can't have babies. Through no fault of their own. Just like through sheer fucking, biology, they are not able to have children. So what do those people do? Oftentimes they adopt. Right? had absolutely nothing to do with their sexual orientation whatsoever. Now, you could feel a certain way about it, but what can you do about it? Right? Can't really do much. It's like, hey man, my child, biologically, for whatever reason, they can't produce offspring. So we got to figure out another way. We got to do in vitro. We got to do a surrogate. We got to do, maybe we'll adopt a child or something like that. And maybe I become a grandfather in that way. But that's before you even get into what their sexual orientation may be. That's before you even get into what their gender identification may be. But this dude thinks that, hey man, read my kids' books at the library with a dude in a dress, as they would put it, might keep me from being a grandfather. This is fucking stupid, bro. It's stupid.
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable conversation. My daughters go to school in Jersey, and they were educated about the genders and different.
But can't you suit up?
Hold on. But it's the thing. My daughters are like 7 and 8.
But can't you sue for that?
You gotta go to those school meetings. You go to school meetings. That's why. Right. I miss those school meetings where they make it.
This nigga's talking about suing the kids or suing the school for actually educating the kids about what's really going on in the world. Suing them. Come on, bro. Suing them. This is what it is.
Decisions. When they talking about those books, my sons, they twins, they had books that they had to read during the summer, and I wasn't okay with one of their books because it was talking about sex and all this. And
right, that's called parenting.
You know what Get
involved. It's called parenting.
But the thing is, as a parent, you may be taken off guard off of what people think your kids are mature enough to listen to.
So you parent your child.
Right. Again, it's still something like I wouldn't want to teach my kids about death before they know Santa Claus is not real.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
So you parent your child.
Right.
I'm still waiting to see the catch, the gotcha moment.
The catch is once you introduce an idea to them, now I have to unintroduce it.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that anyway. You're going to have to do that daily.
But what if they like that idea?
Hey, here's the rub, right? Let's okay. So, say for instance, and we had this conversation on this show before, and it was like on some lighthearted shit, but I'll bring it back. I can remember, like, I think I talked to y'all about, the whole belief in Santa Claus and like how I don't mind whether or not my daughter, when she was young, my daughter's 21 now, like it's crazy, but my daughter's that old now, but when my daughter was young, like I had absolutely no problem at all with my daughter believing in Santa Claus, right? And the reason why I didn't was because I remember what it was like for me as a kid to believe in Santa Claus. It was fun. Me and my cousins, my brother, when Christmas and shit was going on, it was the wonder of Christmas. And, we went to bed early and shit. We would watch the news, and the news would like, Santa Claus is in the North Pole, or now he's in Arizona right now. So if you want to get your toys, you want to go to bed right now because he'll be here any minute. And like, we went to bed early. We was in the bed at 9:00 on fucking Christmas Eve, right? Because we was like, man, the faster we go to bed, man, the faster Santa Claus will come, right? That was the logic as a child, right? And it was fun. The wonder and all of that shit was fun. I remember what that was for me. So when I became an adult, I wanted that same wonder for my daughter, right? I wanted that same wonder for her, where she woke up and she saw all of the stuff that she asked for, some of the stuff that she didn't ask for, but she got that too, right? I wanted that for her because I remember what it was like for me when I was a kid. And I've talked about how when I would talk to people about it, oftentimes the biggest fucking impediment to like trying to create that world of wonder for my daughter was other people's kids. Right? Other people's kids, because you got these other motherfuckers who don't want their kids to know about no Santa Claus, who they like, nigga, what I look like letting some white man take all the credit for when I'm getting my babies. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, I worked for all of that shit, nigga. And I ain't giving no white man no credit for all that shit, nigga. I work for that. I'm Santa Claus, right? And so they tell their kids, ain't no Santa Claus. And those kids can't wait to go back to school to tell your kid Santa Claus ain't real, right? So now I got to parent my child against some shit that your kid done told my child because you got a certain idea about you and wanting to make shit about you. Now I gotta talk to my kid about that, right? Yeah, some kids, they really some bad kids, baby. That's really what that is. That's why they don't believe in Santa Claus. Now I gotta tell my baby some shit. Now you would say, yo, Spann, you misleading your child. No, I am giving my child a sense of wonder. I am letting my child continue to be a fucking child. I am letting my child not necessarily worry about whether or not she's going to get anything. I am shielding my child from the cruelness that is the world and allowing her to be a child for the moment that she's a child, right? And so when they start talking about, hey, they're introducing concepts to my child that I'm not necessarily in agreement with at the school, okay, cool. You can opt to take your child out of that class. Jehovah's Witnesses do it all the time, right? You can opt to take your child out of that school. People do that sort of thing all the time. But that doesn't mean that the things that those kids are learning in that class isn't necessarily beneficial to them. It's just that you are uncomfortable with what they're learning, right? Now, I say that to say, and even in the intro, people think that the science stops when they stop learning. People think that the science stops when they stop learning. As if scientific breakthroughs are not happening all the time. As if we do not get better understanding of why things are the way that they are over time. People go to school, and after they go to school, they stop learning. So when their kids go to school, they think it's supposed to be, my kid is supposed to learn the exact same shit I learned. That's why when your kid comes home with the Common Core fucking math, you looking at that shit like, man, what the fuck is this shit? We didn't learn this shit in school. No, I don't know. I can't help my kid with this because I don't know what the fuck this is. I can't help them with this because I don't know what this is. And rather than like, hey man, let me go ahead and touch up and figure out, and figure this out and these methods and shit like that, because clearly they own some other shit. Rather than do that, you blame the school for teaching your kid something that you don't know. Oftentimes, being a parent is about us allowing our children to grow in ways that we weren't allowed to grow. Learn in ways that we weren't allowed to learn. And not even so much allowed. Those learning methods were not available to us at the time when we were in our most learned times. Right? There's a fear there for a lot of folk about our children learning and becoming more like these kids are going to be a hell of a lot more advanced than we are. But it's supposed to be that way. We're supposed to be, the next generation is supposed to be a step above where we were. Just in much the same way we're supposed to be a step above what our parents were. Because our levels of understandings are supposed to continue to grow. But for whatever reason, the previous generations tend to hold on to the idea that their generation and their way of doing things is the best and the only way to do things. And unfortunately, the world does not work that way. At some point, you will figure that out. But the world doesn't work that way.
I did, though. Well, then you need to parent your child and sit down and have a conversation, because now they're ready to entertain it. And you can't unring the bell.
Right.
But I don't think it should be. I don't think the bell should be ringing in schools.
That's 100% up to you as a parent.
Or in cartoons.
To go to the school and get involved. Setting. That's 100% your thing.
And no, Mac, that's a sucker punch.
Nah,
that is a sucker punch.
Hey,
you send your kid to school
to life,
to learn about. No.
Welcome to life, Playboy.
You went to school.
It's not a welcome to life.
Wasn't worried about that being. When you went to school, your parents wasn't worried about that.
A bunch of shit was different. It ain't that day. There wasn't the internet when I went to school, and it's not that era. You can't unring. You can't undo it. Yeah, now you have to rock and roll with what it is.
That's why a lot of parents is homeschooling their kids. Right.
And he says that like, yo, a lot of parents are homeschooling their kids, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're preparing their kids for a world that they're not prepared for. You're homeschooling your kids because you're afraid of what your kids may know or what your kids may learn beyond what you know. You want your kids underneath your thumb. You want your kids to learn what you know and nothing more than that. And you're setting up your kids to be stunted. You're setting up stunted fucking growth because you're uncomfortable with your children learning about things beyond your level of comprehension. You are not an expert. A lot of us are not experts. Clearly, these niggas are not experts despite giving their opinions, and the show is called My Expert Opinion. They're talking about some shit they clearly don't really know a lot about. That's the irony of this entire thing.
It's not a one
scandal,
but it's not a one school thing, man.
I'm not saying it is, but it's still apparent. The common denominator is still apparent.
You're making it seem like Mac, you don't understand.
I'm making it seem like what don't I understand?
No, Mac, you don't understand.
What don't I understand?
The thing that I'm saying that you don't understand is the outrage of a parent. If somebody goes to my kid and whispers something in their ear that I don't feel like they should be listening to.
They not whispering in their ear, bro. They teaching the entire fucking class. It's out in the open, bro. Ain't nobody whispering. It's not a nefarious thing. It's like they gotta make this into like this nefarious plot to teach my kids some forbidden shit. No, man. It's out in the open. All of the kids are learning this shit. And if they're not learning it at school, guess where they're learning it at? On the fucking internet, bro. On their phones. On their video games. Where they're talking to other kids. Would you rather they learn it from other ignorant ass kids, or would you rather they learn certain things from people who are competent, certified, educated educators? Come on, man. Come on.
Should be hearing or should be exposed to, I'm going to be pissed first. Okay. Yes, I'm going to have to parent them, but I'm going to be pissed first.
And there's a big difference between you learning something from a kid or hearing something from a kid or hearing something from an adult. Okay. When you hear from an adult, you hear it differently.
Okay.
You understand it differently.
Matt,
right.
When you put your music together and a child hears the stuff you talk about and that parent gets pissed at you, the first thing you gonna say is, parent your kid. I didn't make this music for no fucking kid.
That shit fire. You crazy?
No.
That's not a good example.
Did you catch?
That's not a good example. That's not a good.
Because I don't make you're a woman, you're a man, and you're a man. I don't make music like that.
Doesn't matter what you're whispering something that a parent may not want their kid to hear.
But you want to know what?
What am I? Didn't you just say death before Christmas? Before Santa Claus? You just said that.
The reason why I think it doesn't fit, because you're talking about music.
In school,
and then you talking about school.
Right, school.
Yeah. And what's the biggest audience for TikTok? It's school-age children.
But the teacher's not putting on the screen saying, watch this TikTok.
No, but they don't need to when it comes to TikTok because kids go sort that out.
There's a difference. Yeah. I don't send my music out to children.
No, we
send our children to school.
You send it out where children are gonna be. And you hope.
No,
Matt don't even put out music, bro.
I don't.
That was a word there. We can't even get this nigga to push shit out.
You know what?
I'm quiet.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna refresh my drink real quick, and I'm gonna leave you guys with some sounds while I'm gone. But we're gonna get right back to this. Hold on just a second, guys. Let me do this here. Just this once. That ain't the one. I need something longer. I need something longer. Here we go. That shit sound like it was smooth as hell, y'all. All right, but we back to it.
All right,
That's fine.
I'm quiet. You don't put out music, bro. Can't debate that. I'm quiet.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Question
That was a good one.
about the gender.
Yes.
That was a good one.
gender
Super quiet.
reassignment.
You win.
I'm still on that. I still got to go home and just do all my research. But so I can't speak from a place of having a child that might be struggling with their identity of being a boy and a girl. I don't have that experience. But I do have the experience of being a mother with children who go through things emotionally, right? So this is an emotional issue that these kids are dealing with. Hypothetically speaking, if there's a child who grows up, and again, I don't have this experience, so I don't know, and they, maybe they're born a boy, but they identify as a girl, right? And they're going through and struggling emotionally, suicidal ideation, whatever it is, because I'm sure there's a lot of studies that can show, what type of things these parents are dealing with when they have children who might identify as a different sex. So if a gender reassignment surgery can save that kid's life, because maybe mentally, we don't know what they're struggling with.
Whoa.
We don't know what they're struggling
Can save that kid's
No.
life. Let's let her finish.
Listen.
Let her finish.
Listen, I'm asking a question.
She's already, this is how you know these niggas don't listen. She's already said that this kid may be dealing with suicidal ideation and everything else. And part of that has to deal with the fact that they do identify as trans, and they are living a life where they can't live out their true humanity. And they don't know if they can continue to do that. He's acting as if that's a far-fetched fucking idea. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Question here. Because I just said I'm not equipped to have a conversation about this because I don't have the experience of growing up as a girl. I grew up as a girl and I always wanted to be a girl. But I don't know and we don't know what it's like to want to be the other gender.
Right. So
if there's a law that allows them and their parents to actually make a decision for them that's going to, and I'm going to go extreme here and say save their life, why would we be against that?
I'm not, okay.
Why would we be against that?
Nobody should be against that. That makes absolutely all of the sense in the world. But when you're operating from a space of ignorance, and when you're operating from a sense of bigotry, what she just said is blasphemous. Because these niggas are ready to pounce. She's asking a very legitimate and astute question. How do we save the kids who are dealing with this issue, who may also end up committing suicide because they can't get the treatment that they need? How do we deal with that? And if we have parents who are dealing with a child like that, who are aware that their child is dealing with this issue, and gender affirming care can help this child, why would anybody be against that? And these niggas are ready to pounce.
Because I think with them as being a kid, that decision should be made later.
Let's say
when they really
I can agree with that. But let's say they 16, 17. Because I don't think that there's anyone that can give an example of someone, let's say, under 16. Because I believe when I just Googled it, the youngest person they said was around 17.
And she was quiet for a long time. She was in her phone. So while these niggas was in here talking, she was looking shit up. Right? They out here thinking, yo, man, your 10-year-old can go to the doctor, man, and go get gender affirming care, man, and they ain't got to tell you nothing. That's the law. And it ain't the law. It's not the law at all. Whoops.
Right? So let's just say, because and we don't know the law exactly. I don't have it. Like what age is, I don't think they talking about reassigning the gender, having these type of surgeries at 5, 6, 7 years old. We're talking about adolescent kids, right? 16, 17 years old. So I'm saying, what's wrong with the law that allows their parents and them to choose that for them.
No, because again, hold on. The law takes the rights away from the parents. The kid can get it without the parents' consent.
And that's
the problem.
That's not
so now.
And that's bullshit because we just read what the law said. We already read what the law said. So what he's saying right now is bullshit. So when you talk about when the very person who said that people don't know what they're voting for doesn't know what the law says, you have to understand that dude is speaking to an audience of at least 1 million, spreading misinformation. He does not know. Maybe he does. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. We don't owe him that, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He does not know that what he's saying right now about that law is complete and utter bullshit. That is not what that law does. But when you have a group of people who will listen to this and listen to shows like Joe Rogan and listen to the music of Kanye West and like all these different like mediums that are bombarding everyone with all of this misinformation, they take these perspectives and they carry that with them into the voting booth. Right? And this is how we end up with an adjudicated rapist, 34-time convicted felon as president-elect of the United States. Real talk.
Now, just to answer your question even more, let's say your child is stressed out, 13, 14, and they say, I want to start drinking. And the government passed the law say that kids 13, 14 could go to the liquor store, buy a bottle of Henny and drink it. Or they could go get a tattoo without your permission. Or they could go join a war, join the service without your permission. Or they could go work in a strip club without your permission.
And this is a federal law, you're saying, across that.
He's coming up with all these hypotheticals about children doing things without their parents' permission. Meanwhile, the very thing that they're arguing about has absolutely nothing to do with these kids doing anything without their parents' permission. It's a false fucking argument. It is a straw man argument. Straw man. Complete and utter straw man argument. It is a complete and utter bullshit argument because that's not the reality of the situation. Now, we going to talk a little bit later because I'm going to play something else after this video. I'm going to play a little something else about the okie doke that has been played on not just this nigga, but everybody else, especially people of color who voted for this new administration coming into play. I'm going to play a little something else. But he's worried about this when the okie doke is on the other side.
That is without their parents' permission. Without their parents' permission?
The states are creating this.
So the states have the power, right?
Yes.
To make the laws within the states.
Yeah, but if you want to
how many states allowed a law to be made without their parents' permission?
Well, I don't know how many states.
Okay.
But
of course he don't know. Because hell, even the state that he lives in doesn't allow for that shit. Right? Even the state that he lives in does not allow for that shit.
Because I need facts.
In New York, but in New York, yes, it just passed.
And we just read the law. That's not what it does.
No parents.
No parents. It just passed.
At what age?
Any age. That's the thing. They made it so broad. It don't say 13, 14. When I went to Albany, I said, what if a 10-year-old go get a tattoo without the parents' permission? He didn't say it was wrong.
My 10-year-old can't go into the hospital and just get a
absolutely
any
they can.
surgery.
Absolutely they can.
Why not?
Absolutely they can now. They took it away. They took it away.
I gotta sign my kids anytime they go into a hospital.
We can't argue this point if you don't believe that it actually exists
because it's bullshit, bro. It's fucking bullshit. Y'all are arguing a bullshit point. Y'all are gaslighting this lady. Y'all are gaslighting this woman. Well, we can't argue this point if you don't believe it's an actual, because it's not real. She asked from the very fucking beginning, is that real? And the very fucking verifiable information about that is this. No, it is not fucking real. These niggas believe a complete and utter fallacy bullshit talking point. a boogeyman that was put in front of them, right? About a marginalized group that they have very little knowledge of, nor very little curiosity to learn about. It is a bullshit talking point. Now, I said I was going to play this entire thing. I'm not going to do this because we're 15 minutes in, but we got like another 11 minutes. But I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you guys something. And this is why I said this is complete and utter bullshit. And this is the okie doke. Okay. So the reason why this is the okie doke is because I need, especially people of color, Black people, those who would listen to a show like that and come away from that particular discussion thinking that trans people or trans kids are out here operating with impunity without their parental consent and everything else, right? I need y'all to see the okie doke in this. So I'm going to pull this video up and we're going to stretch. We going to pull out the okie doke from those, because what's that dude named? Math Hoffa and that other dude in the red cap. It wasn't a MAGA cap, but it was a red. They're Trump supporters. And part of the reason why they're Trump supporters is because I know that what was that? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came on their show a couple times. So there's that infatuation with being in proximity to power. Hey, the guy who's going to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services came and came on our show a couple times. So we rocking with him. You know, you got that going on. There's a lot of infatuation with being in proximity to power. And it's in fact like it's intoxicating to people who want to be close, right? So I'm gonna pull this up, and we're gonna listen to Donald Trump himself talk about how he wants to shut down the Department of Education. Check this out, y'all. Listen very fucking closely.
With another Trump administration on the horizon, some states like Oklahoma formed a committee to look at potential new education policies. Here in Arizona, with the Department of Education, they tell me they're not at that point yet, but make no mistake, some policy changes could be coming.
We owe our children great schools that lead to great jobs.
That's the goal for President-elect Donald Trump. As for the plan, one of his campaign proposals is to get rid of the U.S. Department of Education.
We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states.
Is that possible? And how?
Okay, so this isn't what I thought it was. Hold on a second. Let me pull something else up. Let me do this here. Just a second, fellas, or people, fans, listeners. I love y'all. Hold on just a second. Donald Trump, Department of Education videos. That's the same one I was just watching. Okay, let's try this one here. Yeah, let's try this one here. Hold on just a second. Wait, is this one of those?
President-elect Donald Trump.
Nah, I want to hear Donald Trump speaking in his own motherfucking voice.
We will.
Okay, let's see about this one. Let me do this here. And I'm going to pull this other video up so you guys can watch. Here we go. Let's see what they're talking about on this one. Boom.
Ultimately eliminate the federal Department of Education.
President-elect Donald Trump has pledged to scrap the Department of Education for what he calls corruption and waste in D.C. Analysts say the push is the Republican philosophy of getting the federal government out of education and moving it to the states.
But mostly that's Project 2025. Right. As much as Donald Trump was out here talking about him being he not knowing anything about Project 2020, not knowing anything about Project 2025, That is a Project 2025 policy position, right? He acted as though he didn't know anything about the shit. He's taking on their policy positions. This video isn't the one that I'm looking for, though. This is only fucking 50 seconds. This is only 50 seconds long. Let me see. Damn it. Where is the one that I was looking for, bro? Where he was talking about. Hold on a second. Let me pull this down. I had the damn video. I had it. I swear I did. This is the TikTok video? Okay, let's see what this one's about. Let's see how this one plays out.
Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children. Second, we will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed. Reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects. Fourth,
notice history was void from that particular topic.
We will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country.
We will teach our students to love their country. So as much as he's talking about indoctrination, he's talking about indoctrinating them in a way where they are romanticizing what America has been, not exactly teaching our children truly what America has been for all of its citizens.
Like they're taught right now. Fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools. Sixth, we will achieve schools that are safe, secure, and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh,
he didn't say anything about making sure that we keep guns out of the schools, though.
We will give all parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. It's called school choice. Eighth, we will ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom. Ninth, we will strive to give all students access to internships and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more successful. I will be the happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child. And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states.
So when they start talking about back to the states, that sounds very much like states' rights. That sounds very Confederate like. That sounds very Southern like. That sounds very much like the South will rise again sort of talk. Like so we're sending it back to the states. They sent abortion rights back to the states. We're going to send education back to the states. That is very much a Confederate talking point. So when I hear black people getting on platforms with millions of listeners and they're trumpeting this sort of shit, this dude, as a way to make America great, the way that he sees America being great is subjugating people like you, right? But the other part that I think is interesting is that, well, this video hasn't stopped. I don't know if they're going to play that on this particular video, but there's another thing that I think is very interesting. Let's see if they actually mention this on this particular video.
We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place. And you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
So they didn't actually play that in this video. The video, like, there was a portion of this statement that Donald Trump did where he talked about DEI and taking away the endowments of colleges that have any sort of affirmative action or DEI type of programs within their curriculum, and taking that money and using that money and like essentially using those funds as reparation to white students who had been allegedly discriminated against because of DEI and equity and inclusion. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and any affirmative action programs, right? This is what he had been openly advocating for. So that white people who have been running the show for the entire fucking time are now the victims of programs that will allow other people within the community, within the United States, to get to level that playing field. White people are now victims because other folks are being left, like the playing field has been leveled for other folk. Right? And as I listen to these dudes on this Math Hoffa program talk about their advocacy for Trump as he's taking away diversity, equity, and inclusion, as he's taking away affirmative action that has allowed for people like someone like a Clarence Thomas to even become a Supreme Court justice, right? As I listen to them advocate for this shit, one of the things that I always think is very interesting about all of it, is that why they got you stupid motherfuckers out here talking about transgender kids playing basketball with your daughter, they are taking Black history out of your goddamn kids' school. They're telling you that they want to teach your kids to love America and they want to teach the true history of America. Meanwhile, they want to take out the true history of America. They have been coming after people who have been teaching the true history of America. They don't want your kids to read books by Ibram X. Kendi. They don't want your kids to read books by Isabella Robertson. They don't want your kids to read Wilkerson. They don't want your kids to read books by Lerone Bennett. They don't want your kids to read books by Toni Morrison. They are actively attacking your fucking culture. They are actively attacking your history and how your people came to be American citizens and forced this country to be a democracy somewhat. And you out here talking about your kids getting surgeries in hospitals by themselves in a world where that doesn't fucking happen. Imagine thinking that your enemy is the nearly non-existent trans kid playing basketball with your child while they take Black history out of your kid's curriculum. You got to be some of the stupidest motherfuckers on the face of the planet to believe that bullshit. That's the shit that irks me the most. That is the okie doke that they've been pulling on you stupid motherfuckers for the longest. And some of y'all fell for that stupid shit. You don't even know a trans athlete in your state without pulling out your phone and Googling it. And then even when you do Google it, chances are you might at most be able to count on one hand how many trans kids are in your state participating in sports. But you act as though that is the most important issue in America. It is fucking not. They totally played a lot of you niggas. Totally played you niggas into making so much hay out of some shit that barely ever happens. And this is how misinformation and disinformation gets disseminated to the public and finds its way into the voting booth. Through mediums like Joe Rogan, through mediums like TikTok, through mediums like Twitch streamers. Oftentimes, man, these kids are getting their information from influencers who don't know much more than they do. But the kids are thinking, hey, this guy has 100,000 followers or 100,000 subscribers. This YouTube channel that I watch, it's got 1 million subscribers. They got to know what they're talking about. They got to know something. In much the same way that when we were kids and we would see people on television and we would watch them on television and think that like, yo, man, it's got to be true of, Walter Cronkite is saying it. It's got to be true if Dan Rather is saying it. It's got to be true if Tom Brokaw is saying it. In much the same way that we grew up in that era where you had the news guys that where everybody got their information from. Now the people are getting their information from all of these sources. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry is low, which means the quality of the information oftentimes is also low. And the public suffers because of it. That's what we're dealing with. So when we watch a show, like a show called My Expert Opinion, when we watch a show like this, it's like, yo, we're listening to people. I like I said, like when I listen, like I think Mecca of the show is probably like the voice of reason, but he's surrounded by a bunch of idiots. And like, there's been a lot of turnover when it comes to like the host on the show. I wonder how long he's going to be around. But when you're surrounded by a bunch of fools, and proud to be uninformed fools because of the promised proximity of power, because Robert F. Kennedy came on your show a couple times. And, what are you left with? But a bunch of people being misinformed by a platform that has over 1 million subscribers, right? I fast forward a few minutes ahead. Let's see what left is there to talk about here.
Saying he was wasn't serving me no food. He wasn't doing.
Okay,
quite honestly, I don't give a fuck. How is it too cool? I don't even know anybody who's doing shit like that for me to get upset about what the fuck they're doing.
Well, what if you lived in a fucking town?
If was a spliff, we'd all be high. I don't. I live here. I don't know anybody doing any of that shit.
Mech is in reality. You heard my man?
No, Mech is not in reality. Mech is unbothered because none of this shit is around him. It's only gonna be a problem.
It's not around you either, dog. That's the truth of the matter. It's not around you either, man.
When it's right next door to him or down the hall from him,
what am
that's
I
when he's gonna start being like, oh,
they're gonna
shit.
be in their house.
Maybe
I'm gonna be in my house. You said they're gonna be down. You said they're gonna be down the hall from.
All right, nigga, walk up and try to hump your dog, and I identify as a Rottweiler. Fuck, you gonna stand there like, okay. Come on, man.
I don't own a dog, man.
I identify as a Rottweiler.
Okay. All right. So when one of the motherfuckers bite you on the ankle, don't fight him.
I'll do exactly what I do to anything that bit me.
Bite him back?
Stomp him in the fucking head. And it won't be about what he identifies as.
And animal cruelty is gonna pick you up.
Come on. Last time I checked, when dogs bite people, they put them down.
FEMA's gonna be on.
And so Mech is basically like combating these niggas with like, they coming up with all these fucking bullshit ass, fallacious ass scenarios. None of them make sense. Somebody's going to be humping your dog and they identify as a Rottweiler. Come on, bro. You don't know anybody who's doing that. You don't know anybody who's doing that. But you need that. You need that fucking bullshit talking point to try to make yourself look like you're making sense when you're really not. Because even in that particular scenario, it sounds ridiculous, and also it's ridiculous because it's not happening.
No, they won't. They use the like let's be
gonna be on your ass. They're
gonna
try to cancel you like Caesar.
Okay. Yo,
that was hilarious.
Like last time I checked, when a dog bites a person, they euthanize the shit out of them. I'm not worried about that shit. I'm not worried about none of this shit. It all seems real. It just seems
it's the
like
Truman Show. This is.
I don't understand why anybody's this interested in what somebody else decides they want to do. If it's not in your house, under your roof, or in your life. Like people are so overly concerned with shit they have no contact with. And where's the harm? Like honestly, and I understand the kid thing. I get the kid thing. But 9 times out of 10, these are adults. Who has ever been able to regulate what an adult's going to do?
Let me say this.
Whether you put it on the books or not, whether you decide it's a law or not. How does that bother you?
No. Listen, it won't bother you. It won't bother a person like. Listen, don't cut me off.
I didn't say nothing.
It won't bother a person like you until you are face to face with it. For the rest of us who have to think, I live in this country, and for me to be a representative of this country or a person in this country, identify as an American, I care about what happens in this country.
You think it's?
I care about what happens in this country too. I care about how people are treated in this country too. I care about how my people are treated in this country. And so as being a person in this country whose people have been largely mistreated in this country, how dare I therefore step forward to try to mistreat another marginalized group? As a person who cares about what happens in this country. Like there's this thing that I think, unfortunately, that some brothers ascribe to. And I think what this dude, Math Hoffa, is unfortunately subscribing to is I've got mine and I'm going to be okay. I don't want my position to be threatened by anybody else. And the reason why I say that is it's the only thing that makes sense for someone like him to think this way. He thinks that another marginalized group, and like you got a lot of brothers, unfortunately, who think that another marginalized group somehow usurps their position as a marginalized group, right? There are some people within our community who think they're like, yo, man, you know, like, yeah, I've been mistreated as a black person in America, but fuck these gays, man, like, or fuck these trans people because, you know, they trying to act as though they shit is as bad as being black in America and all this. And it's not a competition. We're not in a struggle fucking Olympics. We're not. But when you put yourself in proximity to power, when your man's might be the Department of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, he might be in charge of that, and he's a part of the Trump administration, and now you're openly attacking trans people on your platform with 1 million subscribers. Hey, man. I got something to do. I feel a certain way as an American. What about a black man, though? How do you feel as a black man first? Because America don't give a fuck about you being American. They look at you as a black man first, even in America. How do you reconcile that?
It's only in this country?
No one said that. Can you stop with the
You said it.
The word salad. You do the word salad to me.
You think it's only in this country? 7 words is a salad?
I'm not talking about any other country. I'm talking about the country I live in.
But you're making it sound like we have a monopoly on crazy people.
Mac, I'm not talking about just this, I'm talking about other countries. I'm talking about this country. I give a fuck what happens in this country. And if I see shit going to, like, what the fuck? They're doing that over there. Eventually that shit is going to spread to over here. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to have a problem with it. So let's do something about it. I'm going to tell you this, Math. What he's talking about is the same people in Nazi Germany said they didn't think it was going to happen to them either. Until they was in those concentration.
This nigga. Wait a minute. That's this nigga.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no wonder you get D's and everything.
This nigga actually equated the trans community with the Nazis. This nigga actually equated the trans community with the fucking Nazis, bro. Like,
who are these niggas? We need to stay away from these niggas.
We gotta stay away from these niggas, bro. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay. Let's clear that up right now. People in Nazi Germany were dealing with death. When these people are running around being serial killers, come holler at me.
You think it started as death?
I won't give. Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
The plan was always for him to eliminate that race of people.
We're talking about how did it start.
That was always the ultimate plan. Now, if you tell me that the ultimate plan of people who are claiming different genders and different animals and different pieces of furniture is to ultimately kill people and turn into serial killers, then we can have that conversation and make that correlation. But there is no correlation. Last time I checked, none of them were trying to dead you.
Bro,
unalive you,
The ultimate plan is population control at the end of the day. If you're not promoting a heterosexual relationship, how does the population grow? When you get into the whole...
Hey, man. There it is right there. There it is right there. You're dealing with some stupid niggas. You know what? Just...
Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Damn.
Enough. Boy, I've been sick to my fucking stomach watching you imbeciles type things. Stop typing. You niggas are stupid.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no wonder you get D's and everything.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn! God damn!
What?
Fuck!
That was the stupidest shit ever. What do you say to people who are in heterosexual relationships who don't want to have kids? What do you say to people who are in heterosexual relationships who can't have kids? You think this is solely about population control? Okay, let's keep it a buck. All right? And I'm going to go there. I'm going to go here. Hold on a second. Let me do this here for a second. I'm going to do this. There's a reason. There's a reason why states across the South, Republican-controlled states across America, have been actively attacking a woman's right to her bodily autonomy. There's a reason why. Unfortunately for this stupid motherfucker, he doesn't really know. The reason why they do not want women to have access to abortions or any sort of birth control, because they're coming after that next. They're coming after that next. But the reason why has absolutely nothing to do with necessarily population control, but it's because they want white women to have more babies. White people are scheduled to become a statistical minority population in America within the next 20 fucking years. This is also the reason why they want to mass deport people of Latin descent within this nation. This is also why they want to denaturalize those of who have been immigrants of Latin descent, who they wanted to not only just deport them, but denaturalize them and send them back because, again, they want to have a majority white population here in the United States of America. So when this goofy, stupid motherfucker gets on a platform with 1 million subscribers, and I will continue to repeat that shit, when this stupid, goofy motherfucker gets on a platform with 1 million subscribers and says this is about population control, all of that, yeah, they want to control your population, but they want to control the population so that the white people maintain statistical majority of this nation. This nation is about to be majority minority in a minute. This is why all of this shit is happening. They want to control a woman's body because white women ain't having enough babies. When it comes to transgender folk, they want to control the LGBTQ community because the LGBTQ community, especially the white LGBTQ community, is not producing enough babies. That is it. That is all. They will use you sometimes, useless idiots in large part. They will use you because you're useful in your idiocracy. They will use your bigotry against another marginalized group because it advances their ideology. It advances what they want to do. It doesn't advance your cause whatsoever. But they will use you against another marginalized group to advance their cause. And there's a lot of people within the Hispanic community who are about to find that shit out real fucking fast. Real fast. That although they may have voted for Donald Trump, especially the Hispanic dudes, that although they may have voted for Donald Trump, he don't really mean for them to stay here either. So when I listen to this stupid shit, it's like, yeah, you've been like duped so many motherfucking times. It's almost dizzying. It's almost dizzying, bro. Real talk. That you would get on a platform with 1 million plus subscribers and say, it's about population control. It's about population control. Meanwhile, the population that they're really aiming is to keep white people as the majority in this nation. This is the death fucking grip of white supremacy of this nation. They saw themselves becoming a minority in the country that they supposedly built off the backs of us. Meanwhile, they have agents like you touting their same bullshit, thinking that it means the exact same thing for our community that it meant for their community. And it does fucking not. It doesn't. This nigga out here talking about population control like he said some fucking deep shit. You goofy motherfucker.
The Democrats promoting abortions. Let's look at what Margaret Sanger, the person who created Planned Parenthood, what it was designed for, to eliminate the black race.
Now we've shifted from women controlling their bodies to
it's all connected, bro.
Okay, hold on.
It's all connected. It's all connected. Meanwhile, it's about them preserving white. It's about them preserving white majority population, while y'all thinking it's about preserving you. They really fooled you niggas. I swear to God, they really did a number on these niggas.
Hold on. Let me do you a favor then. Let's say it is about population control.
It is about population control.
Okay,
we ain't gonna say it is.
Okay, groovy. And people identifying as cats, this, that, and the third. Yes?
Yes.
That's an issue, right?
If you're not, go ahead.
Right?
I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay, groovy. Do you want them repopulating?
Bro, that's not my choice.
I asked you a question. Do you want more of them?
I don't care.
Well, it does seem like you do, because right now, when the laws are in the books, that's your big concern.
No.
And how these people are identifying. My thing to you is, if they're not reproducing, that kind of sounds like you win, don't it?
Listen, I said I don't care what they do. That's
that sounds like cap.
I don't care what they do.
That sounds like cap.
Okay, I want to go to the chat and see.
Yeah. He wants to go to the chat because the chat is filled with, unfortunately, more uninformed motherfuckers. Right? That's why he wants to go to the chat. But we about to get on about it here, man. I've been running my mouth for a good 2 hours. I said 2 minutes, 2 hours and 9 seconds. But yeah, man, the reason why I wanted to talk about this and talk about that particular podcast in particular in relation to what we've been dealing with for the last week and a half or so, especially politically, is I want folks to understand the depth and the levels in which we are dealing with misinformation permeating the community, right? Because we're going to be dealing with this shit we got 4 years coming up of stupid shit like this coming, that we're going to be dealing with and combating and debunking and all this other shit. I want us to get a head start because I think the fight is here. I think the fight is here because we have to battle the amount. We have to do we have to do yeoman's work. We have to do yeoman's work of battling the misinformation and disinformation that's going to be inundating our communities for the next 4 years, man. And so, in the ways in which I am able to do that, I will do it. I will do it. I will not allow for myself anyway to come across some misinformation that I know is going across and being broadcast to millions or hundreds of thousands and not challenge it. I can't do it. It doesn't sit right in my spirit to allow for this shit to go unchallenged. And so that's why I thought it was important to talk about what I saw today and give it some level of critique, some level of pushback, and hopefully someone was able to get something from what we talked about here tonight, man. Because again, misinformation and disinformation is permeating throughout our community, and wherever we can battle it, I believe we should. So that's why I did this show tonight. But of course, before we get on about it here, I do have to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. It's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email me here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave those emails, and of course, those emails will get read here and replied to here live as well. If you want to follow your man Spann on the social media platforms, I am on Threads and Instagram. That's Mr._Spann on both Threads and Instagram. Follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. I am also on Blue Sky. That's MrSpann.bsky.social over there. I think that's a protocol there. So yeah, man, follow your man Spann. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, man, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us a thumbs up on the videos when you watch those videos. Subscribe to the channel over there. Leave us a comment there, man. We really appreciate those of you who leave the comments. Those comments will get right here and reply to here live on the show as well. Also, man, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Spotify. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who does that. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Mr. Spann Official Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network in its entirety. And also, go to our store, tpublic.com. The Spann Report on TeePublic store. The link will be in the show notes, man. So if you want to buy yourself a t-shirt, if you want to buy yourself a hoodie, if you want to buy yourself a coffee mug, if you want to buy yourself a mouse pad, if you want to buy yourself some stickers, we got the whole stuff. We got the whole shebang over there And we really appreciate everybody who spends money to help us continue to do what we do here at the Mr. Beneficial Podcast and the Spann Report Podcast Network as a whole. I am about to get on up out of here. I will talk to you guys again soon. But of course, until next time, fam,